Good evening, my friends. Daniel Miller here. How's everyone doing? Saturday night over here in London, and I have to tell you, a rather cold night. In fact, they told us that we may be experiencing some temperature drops as low as -2 degrees today and tomorrow, and then towards the end of next week, again, we are going to have tropics. Back to summer again, 25 plus degrees of Celsius. I don't know what's going on with weather, but it's absolutely maddening. But you know, on the other hand, earlier today I received some wonderful news, and I received an email indicating that Monster Hunter World, this wonderful RPG adventure game, was actually offered on a free trial for over 10 days. So anyone who wants to try this wonderful RPG can simply go to PS4 and then download it. But I have to warn you, unless I was told and informed about the trial, I would have not known that the trial is currently available also for 10 days. Because on PlayStation, when you access it, it does indicate that you can just try a demo. There's no word on the free trial and the fact you can play the whole game for free for 10 days. So that's a bit confusing, and it happens quite frequently with these kinds of offers. I had the same problem with Rainbow Six Siege and with Call of Duty Blackout initially. Although Call of Duty Blackout was well advertised compared to some of the other ones. So you really need to find the means to which you can download, and the best way of doing it is simply going to Monster Hunter World website, and then you'll be given options, because Monster Hunter World free download and free access for 10 days is proprietary to PlayStation, so you can't really get it on either PC or Xbox. So it is very surprising, but on the other hand, I'm not surprised overall, because we've had State of Play on Thursday, and they were presenting us with some clips and videos of their forthcoming attractions, one of which, the biggest one of which, well, there are two very big ones, but one of those big ones was indeed Monster Hunter World, and they were advertising the new DLC, which I believe will be released later in the year, and the trailer looked absolutely amazing. So like other companies, Capcom are also offering some goodies and some special offers for anyone who wants to become familiar with the game, and indeed perhaps to refresh also those who already played it and left it on their hard drive. And what better way of trying it but just simply being given the opportunity to jump in and try the entire game for free. Presently, for anyone who's interested, if you want to purchase it on PlayStation 4, the price is $15.99. I think it's about 60% off of the total price. So again, a very, very good special offer. Most highly recommended to everyone. And we are going to have, first of all, a bit of a brief introduction on Monster Hunter World to see what this game's about. As you know, it's been very highly rated. It has been indeed one of the most popular games of 2018. And it received many awards and had very, very positive reception from the industry and fans alike. So really, what better way to try it but just to get in, download it from PlayStation 4 store, and then enjoy it. In fact, it is a surprising addition to my streams, because as you know, presently I have been streaming several games. We have Destiny every day, 6-hour streams, and then I have Metal Gear Solid a couple of times a week, introducing it as part of my PlayStation Now season. And then we also have, we also recently surprisingly acquired Ghost Recon Wildlands, the game that I really like. And just before getting on with this stream, I watched several presentations and reviews of what was presented on Thursday, because on Thursday, in addition to State of Play by PlayStation 4, we also had Ubisoft telling us a lot more regarding their new Ghost Recon game, and indeed they had a world premiere of the trailer gameplay, and then there was a presentation, the Q&A, all of which were really, really interesting, and I have to say one of the best I have ever witnessed, because all the presentations through the participants were very short and crisp and exciting. They focused on the very best aspects of the new game, described the differences between the new installment and the Wildlands, and then we had also both the trailer and 30 minutes of gameplay, both of which I found to be quite astonishing. The reviews I watched were not all that over the moon about it, but this is because the reviewers, I believe, were not excited about yet another tactical shooter, although they all agreed that it looked and felt amazing, that the environment was immersive. I quite liked the idea that the real kind of life open world of Bolivia is being now transformed into a semi-sci-fi kind of environment of a fictional island. But on the other hand, you know, I just love the tactical shooter games, and this is definitely one of those that will be at the very top of my list. So coming back to it, I had several surprises during last week. One of them was Ghost Recon, completely unexpectedly landing on my lap, and of course I played it straight away. I'll continue to play it every second or third day of the week. And it's been just a bit difficult to fit in all the titles because I like continuity. You know, when I start with my stream, you will see that everyone has this number at the end. It tells you part 1, 2, 3, 15, 150. So anyone who wants to watch the game will get that degree of continuity. I do not like hopping in and out like some of the other people. It's easier if you're streaming PUBG or Apex because you are entering Battle Royale, which is repetitive and doesn't have that degree of story or any other elements that require more kind of detailed analysis. But when you are doing your Ghost Recon or Destiny or Monster Hunter World, there is a story and the action is blending in with the narrative. So therefore you want to have that degree of continuity if you're watching, and indeed if you're learning, if you want to be watching some of the streams as you walk through, and most importantly if you want to be learning from the community members. So that continuity has to be there. So I'm not sure how frequently I'll be able to stream all of those 3 games, but maybe I will be introducing my evening stream yet again. I was not planning to do that because, you know, 6 hours a day of Destiny is at the moment quite sufficient for me, and I feel really very complete and nourished at the end. I find sometimes extra streams, particularly extra 4 or 5 hours, to be a bit taxing on my attention and abilities. But we'll have to see what can be fitted in, particularly if we have such opportunity to fit in these wonderful games, because both Ghost Recon Wildlands and Monster Hunter World are absolutely amazing, and I think obviously very different in respect of what they provide us with. But at the same time, we have those massive open worlds are there, which are really exciting, very immersive, highly atmospheric. So if you are watching and playing those games on a very good setup, high quality TV, very good headphones, you will be completely drawn into that world. You will become an active participant, and you will simply love everything that is out there to be experienced. So I most highly recommend you to do that. And I talked earlier today, in fact, about my day yesterday, where I went to several meetings I had with my online entrepreneur colleagues. We have a network, which is a new network in London, and we have regular meetings there discussing how we are doing really with our broadcasting and everything else. And after that, well, actually during my break, I went to a new facility in central London, which is basically a part of a very large computer and electronics store called PC World Currys. For anyone who is not in the UK, you might not be familiar. And it's in the very heart of the city. It's on Tottenham Court Road. It's very near to the Oxford Street and, you know, very central areas of the West End. And basically it's called Games Hub. And you have a section of this very large shop which is converted for gaming activity, and it's there in order for people to try all that new equipment which is on offer. And they're very much presently focusing on broadcasters and streamers and everything that's done on Twitch and YouTube. So there's several rigs and several platforms in there which can be tried, 2 of which are massive big gaming computers, as well as some gaming laptops, all of which can be tried. So I did that yesterday. I spent quite some time trying them, looking at all the options, the way they work, the first-hand experience of that sort of stream being done compared to the setup which I have here. That is also very good, but I guess significantly different, because I prefer streaming on a very large TV. So you have a very large picture which is quite immersive, so you can stand away from it, you can be standing and playing a game, and it makes it a lot easier if you're doing lengthy broadcasts. I know most people are actually seated, but I find it impossible to be seated for that long. And indeed, if you're playing action games and, you know, the ones with RPG elements and shooting, it's much better if you're in a standing position, because there's a lot less strain on your back, on the muscles, on your position. And generally I can do it probably for 10 hours without any difficulty whatsoever. But if I was seated for about an hour and a half, I would have to be having significant breaks and have to exercise in order to get rid of that stiffness, which obviously builds up rather fast. And I have to say, the chairs they offer as your top-notch gaming chairs, they're very good, but I find them to be completely useless for myself. They have significant back and neck support, but your back doesn't feel particularly natural when seated in there, and I'm not really coerced into purchasing one of those, although some of them are not terribly expensive. But overall I find them to be very stiff and very hard compared to the chairs I'm using that are very comfortable when I have to be seated. And I'm usually seated when we're doing some online discussion, or we're having our community debates and that sort of thing. But depending, sometimes I'm standing as well, depending on what's going on, particularly if it's happening during the gameplay. So coming back to that, I tried my streams on that setup in there, and I had very high quality monitors and everything, and I was very disappointed because I could see that the audiovisual quality of my streams was definitely not as good as it should be, and this was due to the fact that I'm not having access to fiber optic, and that again is connected to the British Telecom and their unwillingness to be providing us with adequate cabling in my local area. So we are being sentenced to the fastest broadband, which is very fast if you're downloading, but for uploading it's absolutely abysmal. It has upload speed of 1, and basically the upload speed is so poor that on the streams we can see that the image gets a bit diffused, the picture's not sharp enough, and on the other hand it's still working, it is still watchable, particularly if you were to be watching it on a smaller device like your Android phone or tablet. When placed on a very large screen it looks dreadful. So I'll have to reconsider whether to change properties and go elsewhere in order to be accessing very fast fiber optic, because this is going to be the utmost priority in no time, and I have no indication that they will want to do it in my quarters. And therefore I just hope that you guys can obviously watch my streams on somewhat smaller devices in order to minimize that kind of picture diffusion and lack of sharpness and everything else which indeed is present on those streams. And I did notice that even some of the top-notch and the most successful streamers are having sometimes a bit of lag and a bit of delay in the picture. It's not as razor sharp as it should be at all times, dependent on the actual in-game activity. If there's a lot of hectic activity taking place in the picture, it is not as sharp as it should be. Maybe it's to do with the current state of technology still, because obviously we are streaming through kind of personal devices rather than professional networks. I'm not sure what the reasons are, but I'm quite certain in no time this is all going to be massively improved and enhanced. As you know, Twitch broadcasting is becoming one of the most popular forms of communication on the planet, and people are doing it not just for gaming but for all other subjects. They make new connections and bonds, they open up new forums, and in no time I would see maybe a period of about 18 to 36 months we are going to have a revolution in terms of broadcasting and the way people connect worldwide, all of that happening through this platform. So it's absolutely wonderful. Coming back to tonight, we are going to have maybe a couple of hours of Monster Hunter World. We'll just try it to see how it goes, and I'm very, very curious because I really wanted to play this game for quite some time. In fact, I think it goes shoulder to shoulder with what's it called, Zero Dawn, Zero Hero Dawn, something I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me just have a look. I beg your pardon, is Horizon Zero Dawn. I know Zero Dawn, but suddenly I couldn't remember. I had a lapse of concentration. Horizon Zero Dawn and Monster Hunter World were the most popular RPG adventure games of the last few years, and they were in fact maybe competing to a degree because the environment is somewhat similar, although the actual gameplay is significantly different as well as the narrative. But they had this element of mysterious, wonderful big open world out there for people to try to explore, to come up with new solutions, and therefore I really looked forward to playing it for quite some time. And due to the fact I focused on Destiny and its community, I've not been able to bring in some of these other wonderful games on PlayStation 4. But obviously today we are going to be starting out, and I mentioned many times before that as I'm an avid user of PlayStation Now, there's so many games there, up to about 700, which beautifully could be also presented and streamed, but there just simply isn't enough time. And I'll have to think of maybe another format in the near future where we are going to have maybe a few more streams during the week, shorter streams, in order to introduce the games, to have some degree of continuity. They don't have to be particularly lengthy, but we'll have that sort of introduction of finding out those wonderful new and old games, in fact, and particularly those titles that we were not familiar with previously. And as you know, they have lots of games that were launched for Japanese and Asian markets, and you can only find them on PlayStation Now services. You can't really purchase them anywhere else, and that is truly wonderful. So if you have your Xbox and your PlayStation, both consoles together, then you can have access to all sorts of games, and basically you will never ever be bored. You will never be needing to wait for another game. There is always going to be something out there for you to explore, to discover, and particularly amongst those games that you've heard of but you never got to play. And I'm doing one of those at the moment. It's not Monster Hunter World, it's called Two Worlds 2. I'm not sure whether Deployman played it, but Two Worlds 2 is a game which is similar to Elder Scrolls. It's very similar in fact, and it does have elements of Skyrim and Oblivion, but also done in a very different fashion. When you enter, you feel that this is a more of an adult game due to the way some of the people are dressed and the way certain dialogue is conducted, and overall activities. So I'm really excited to be able to play it as well, bit by bit, maybe an hour and a half a day before going to bed, or sometimes really early in the day before starting a broadcast. But absolutely wonderful. Well, Deployman, I can recommend it. I'm not sure whether you're accessing PlayStation Now services, which is the PlayStation's Netflix for gaming service. We can instant stream and access the games from the server. But that game's been very popular on the PC, and it has been well advertised, for lots of websites. I remember seeing it a little while back offered on Golden Old Games, and if I'm not mistaken, it was also the original Two Worlds was released on PlayStation 3, and also was very, very popular. In fact, the aura of the game is similar to The Witcher. I guess maybe logistically, as also another Polish game development firm has been involved with Two Worlds, and they have this sort of aura which is tying those two games together, and they really excelled. They really excelled with those types of games, and I think that there are hardly any other developers from the world who will be able to contest the quality and the immersiveness, originality, and the vastness of those open worlds. There's so many different options, so many different characters, and they're quite tricky. The game I mentioned, Two Worlds 2, is actually very complicated, and also the skill list and subclasses, which are to a degree resembling the games like Oblivion and Skyrim, but maybe more so the games like Bloodborne and Dark Souls, because they're very kind of, sort of fine-tuning on how you are going to be enabling certain weapons and developing particular skills, particularly the skills that are aligned with mage abilities. So I'm not gone this far, and I'm just learning on how to use my weapons, and I've finally mastered some of them. It's been rather difficult to contest certain enemies, but it's always great to discover some of those. I personally like experiencing events similar to when you go to an auction. You go to an auction, or you go to a major market, and you discover things that you've never heard of, and they're very interesting and they're very eye-catching. They draw your attention. You come in, you buy them, or you acquire them, and then you discover all kinds of goods in there. And I used to be involved with acquisition of lots of different goods in general auctions, and there was nothing better than discovering 10 different boxes of books, and they were being sold for next to nothing, and amongst them you find some real treasures, first editions which was assigned, and you discover some rare film books, or some obscure graphic novels, or some books on photography, all kinds of books that are connected to visual arts. And I had a lot of fun really over the years, and therefore I have a very, very large library. In fact, I would require a palatial home in order to house them appropriately, and that certainly is one of my targets and the plans for, I would say, in the near future as well, because the books are the basis of everyone's knowledge, and if you are a collector of books who actually reads all of them, and I do, I read books which are of I actually like certain kinds of subjects and the areas which are of my interest, and therefore the books are catering for those interests. So anything to do with film and literature and modern history, psychiatry and psychoanalysis, these are my kinds of niche areas, and the vast majority of books are indeed covering those. And I have also a lot of graphic novels, because I've been an avid fan of graphic novels since I was a child. If you followed my streams from the beginning, I talked about Trigon Empire, the wonderful graphic novel created by the British illustrator Don Lawrence. Originally he was the author of Carl the Viking, and later of a wonderful graphic novel called Storm, and altogether they make a wonderful selection. Trigon Empire drew my attention because it was one of the first graphic novels I've seen in full color, and also these were the graphic novels presented in a format similar to paintings, and they were drawn in color as well, you know, so they weren't just sort of stenciled or adapted for just before their publication, but Don Lawrence was representing them as if he was doing your proper paintings. And if you have a chance, I'd like to invite everyone to have a look at Don Lawrence, the illustrator. He regrettably passed away a few years ago after serious illness, but he is certainly, for myself, one of the most incredible graphic novel artists, and for me a true genius of that format of modern art. And I will always treasure all of the works which I've read aligned to Trigon Empire. They had been released in sort of specialist album sets and like box sets, and they can be acquired today directly from Don Lawrence's foundation. So anyone who's interested, you can first look them up on my websites, and after that maybe on the internet, and then, you know, decide whether you wish to have them. But they are very similar to what you had in Mass Effect. The only difference is that Mass Effect is this empire in the distant worlds, whilst the Trigon Empire does have a selection of people who run and govern the entire world, and they're very similar to the rulers of ancient Greece. So there are some elements of the distant past with some sort of futuristic visions of various planets, and that really drew my attention. Absolutely loved it, and still it remains my favorite graphic novel to the present day. So coming back to Deployment is asking, have you heard of Kenshi? Can you just illuminate me a bit? I did hear of Kenshi, but I know actually several Kenshis. Not sure whether you're referring to one of the graphic novels or one of the game developers, because I know of a game developer called Kenshi as well, who was involved with some of those wonderful Japanese RPGs. Yeah, I thought so. It's an RPG game. I've not played it, I've heard of it. Yeah. They have lots of those, you know. When you look at the list on PlayStation Now, I've made actually a list of my selections. 275 games are selected that I would like to play and stream. 275 after my first in-depth analysis. So, you know, it will take me a bit of time to get through them. But the best way of going about it is simply by entering PlayStation Now and then just playing the game for a bit, you know, not in order to complete it, but just to find out what the game's like, to get flavour of it, to get soak up on the, you know, some of the atmosphere, and therefore you get like fully involved, and you can take basically your pick and decide whether it is a game of interest. And what I like the best is that the vast majority of games are presented in their new remastered format. So if, for instance, you like some of them, you can also purchase them later at a on a reduced price through PlayStation Store, and then you can obviously have them as your own personal acquisition. And Deployment says, it looks like a fun game, being a hardcore survival and all. I love survival games, and particularly those focused on stealth. And before commencing with this broadcast, I watched those reviews on the new installment of Ghost Recon, and all of them talked, you know, with pride, how beautiful and how effective the stealth approach worked in the gameplay that was presented during the world premiere. They just wondered whether that stealth is going to be expanded on later once the game is released, and I believe so. That seemed to be the major distinction between Wildlands and the new installment, because Wildlands combined different methods of gameplay that included some fierce combat as well as stealth, but this one seems to be, I guess, closer to the games like Splinter Cell, also Ubisoft released, and also the other Konami masterpiece, Metal Gear Solid. And although the game appears to be at times perhaps a bit brutal, I think they'll be focusing on acquiring targets and finishing missions without many casualties. And the guys from Game Informer, you know, the editor and another chap, they were speculating whether the characters, the protagonists in the game, are going to be devoid of any form of morality, and they were also wondering how well the gameplay is going to be blending in with the actual story, because they said the trouble with some of the other games, those tactical shooters, was that when you got your buddies together and your crew sort of hit the road, you were just interested in getting the score, and you didn't pay much attention to the story. And they said the games they liked the best were those blending those two elements together, which I would agree with. I mean, I love the Division 1, but once you are doing those missions, you don't really care about the story. You are really entering that tactical military world where you want to be just focusing on the targets and winning those missions, and therefore the story becomes secondary. In fact, I played several games like that, and at the end I didn't remember the story at all. It wouldn't really connect with me whatsoever. And you know, the greatest enjoyment of gameplay was simply getting a squad together, doing it in a team of 3 or 4 with 3 or 4 other guys, and then collecting you know, the winners basically. And so we'll have to see how everything evolves. I'm very encouraged. I absolutely adore Division 2. I think it's a wonderful game, beautifully developed and massively enhancing its original installment. And Ghost Recon, obviously, we are talking about a franchise stretching back more than 12 years, and you know, we are going to have some serious enhancements for sure. And I've really loved everything I've seen so far. I guess sometimes people in the industry are a bit overly critical. I can understand that, because they obviously review games and they play very many of them, and they're looking for some sort of niche areas of enhancement and quality. But for the vast majority of the gamers, I think what we've seen so far is going to be definitely more than satisfactory. So let me have a look at this game, and let's have a look what this game indeed was to offer. I mean, first of all, Monster Hunter World is an action role-playing game, and it's been developed and published by Capcom. It was a part of the Monster Hunter series. It was released worldwide for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in January 2018. So we're talking about roughly a year and a half ago, with a Microsoft Windows version in August of 2018 as well. So that's less than a year ago. In the game, the player takes the role of a hunter, tasked to hunt down and either kill or trap monsters that roam in one of several environmental spaces. If successful, the player is rewarded through loot consisting of parts from the monster and other elements that are used to craft weapons. Core Loop has the player crafting appropriate gear to be able to hunt down more difficult monsters, which in turn provide parts that lead to more powerful gear. Players may hunt alone or can hunt in cooperative groups up to 4 players via the game's online services. So as you could see, similar to Ghost Recon and The Division and Rainbow Six and Anthem, we can start the game initially in order to learn by ourselves, and then as we learn the basics, we can just bring in our friends and work it together as a cooperative team. And obviously, like I said, we can hunt in a cooperative group up to 4 players via the game's online services. If you are doing the game on PlayStation 4, you will need your subscription to PlayStation Plus. The same thing applies to Xbox, and I'm not sure about the PC. I think it is going to be probably a straightforward access without any extra subscriptions. Announced at E3 2017, Monster Hunter World adopted the series standard formulas from its older home console roots and also recent handheld games to take advantage of the higher processing power provided by modern consoles and computers. So the graphics are highly accurate and beautiful and razor sharp and much enhanced compared to the old ones. Changes made in Monster Hunter World include creating environmental spaces that are fully connected and removing the zones that were necessary for the PlayStation 2 and handheld games, more advanced monster artificial intelligence and physics, to create seemingly living ecosystems that could be taken advantage of during hunts, a more persistent cooperative multiplayer experience, and refinement of the game's user interface. That includes also menu systems and tutorials to help everyone with bringing new players into the series. So there's going to be a good in-depth tutorial, which I quite like. These changes led Capcom to plan for the game's simultaneous release across both Japan and Western markets. since Monster Hunter as a series has generally languished in the West compared to Japan, partially due to disparate release schedules. Capcom also opted to support online play between these different geographic regions for similar reasons. The delay for the Windows release was attributed to Capcom seeking to make sure its first foray into the Windows market was optimized for players on computers. So let's not forget, if there were problems, then please everyone should be a bit more patient. Similar, I guess, to what I said about BioWare, because for Capcom this was the first incursion into the PC world, gaming, the first incursion into what we know as our PC gaming world. And I'm not sure whether it was as smooth as expected, but if there were glitches, I believe people should have been a bit more patient. And Monster Hunter World received critical acclaim upon release, with critics praising how Capcom was able to make the game more accessible to new players and to Western markets without detracting from the series' core play elements and enjoyable difficulty, and also fully taking advantage of the computational capacity of modern consoles to create living ecosystems, with some even calling it the best in the franchise, the best obviously of the Monster Hunter lot. So Monster Hunter World is the best-selling game in Capcom's history, with more than 12 million copies shipped by March of 2019. You know, it's interesting because I've been just looking at the figures, and for these RPG and adventure games we were talking about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 million as being exciting and indeed revolutionary as far as the sales were concerned. Just bear with me, I have a bit of a problem with the sound in here, which is very loud, so we'll just turn it down a bit. And I just wanted to compare the figures of the best ever sale in Capcom history of obviously one of the console games being Monster Hunter World, and at the time, so that would have been by March 2019, 2 or 3 months after the game was released, it sold and shipped 12 million copies worldwide. If you think about Apex, which has been released a year later, they had 50 million people accessing and playing the game after less than 3 weeks. So can you see the exponential rise? Can you see how the trends are changing? It is extraordinary. The difference there is that Apex, I guess together with Fortnite, is a game with a focus on potential cross-platform play, although when released it was released on all 3 platforms separately. You couldn't actually enter into the PS4 arena if you want PC and vice versa, but they were certainly considering that as an option in the near future. And we've heard already that Apex is going to be introduced for Android, I think within the next couple of weeks. So, you know, we are really talking about a different level of gaming, and the industry is absolutely progressing towards the area where people will be able to step in from any platform and then bond and communicate. It's all about interactivity as well, don't forget. I think Monster Hunter World as an online multiplayer certainly has this huge potential, but I'm just struck by the figures and the fact that when I look back, what happened 3 or 4 years ago is already completely obsolete, whilst at the time you thought it was revolutionary. To give an example, Red Dead Redemption 2, released in autumn of last year, made $750 million in 3 days. So $750 million in 3 days for a video game is a staggering achievement, and honestly it is mind-boggling. Everyone pre-ordered, and indeed people bought everything on an insane level during those 3 days, so therefore they reached a figure which actually even beats some of the Hollywood blockbusters. I've not looked at the figures of the latest Avengers Endgame. It's possible that some are within the range, but whether they made $750 million within 3 days is definitely open for some form of discussion. Right, so this is the game. I told you a bit about it. As you know, it's been released by Capcom. Director was Yuya Tokuda, producer was Hinobu Takeshita, Shingo Izumi and Kazunori Inui. Designer was Teruki Endo and Yugo Togawa. Programmer was Yuki Oi and Kuto Fukasawa. The lead artist was Kaname Fujioka. Composer was Akiniko Narita and Zhenyan Kang. Series is obviously our Monster Hunter series. The engine that worked on was MT Framework, platforms are Microsoft Windows, Xbox One and PlayStation 4, initially released on consoles. And then we've had the console release on January 26th of 2018, and for the Windows it was released on August the 9th of 2018. The genre is action role-playing, and obviously the mode is either single player or multiplayer. So without further ado, we are going to be now jumping in and finding out what this wonderful RPG is like. Deployman, who's been with us from the very beginning of this broadcast, indicated that we'll have some classes in order to tailor the weapons and decide on what types of action we are to pursue. So that is going to be very exciting. So let's have a look. Start a game indeed. We are starting the game.
Sisters and brothers of the Fifth Fleet, it's time. I'll keep my farewell brief. Never was much with words. Once you board this ship, there's no turning back. The next ground your feet will touch will be that of the New World. If any of you have lost your nerve, then step away now, and let no one judge you. Very well. Then sail safe and strong, and may the Sapphire Star light your way.
Monster Hunter World. Oh, this looks so beautiful. Look at that. Look at the attention to detail. No wonder Deployman really loves it as much as I do. I love these kinds of graphics, you know, and attention given to detail. It's just like walkways from a graphic novel, all of those characters. Look at him. It's terrific. Ah, there's a tomcat bringing in that lovely food. Look at that. Fantastic.
Yo! Did you hear? We're almost there. You ready to grab this new world by the horns? Don't know about you. It feels like ages since I left home to join the commission. So, nervous? Believe you me, I get it. Anything could happen to us, but hey, that's happened.
Hey, aren't you one of the A-list hunters?
What? No way! So are we! Hey! Tell us your name!
Look at that tomcat. So, we need to construct our character. So, our character is going to be, of course, male. Presets. Okay, he's alright, I think. So, we see face. I like customizing this. I think this is probably the best, isn't it? Yeah, I like that. Confirm. Skin is fine. Hairstyle. Let's see. That's a bit spiky and a bit like the current teenage rock bands. So let's see. Wait a minute. Hairstyle. Look at his haircuts. Amazing. Elvis. Well, mind you, hair is very important. Nah, not really. I think for me, look at number one. It's probably quite good. Yes. Deployment says, make it look like yourself as a semi-face reveal. That's the idea, yeah. I mean, that usually would be my thinking behind some of the characters, and I try to do that as well. But the only trouble there is that I think in here your customization is a bit limited because the haircuts and facial expressions are kind of preset. Whilst with some other games like in Anthem or in Mass Effect and Bioware games, you can literally customize in depth. So that's quite different. I think this one is a bit too spiky for my liking. Where's the other one? I guess this one might be good. It's not quite identical to mine, but well, the eyebrows are quite alright, I think. Let's see, eyebrows. That's quite good. Eyes. That's definitely not like me. More like me. Okay, that seems to be quite good. Yeah, but the only thing with eyes is, let's see the color. Does it change color? Okay. To be a bit darker than that. So you say palette. Yeah, that should be good. Nose. Let's see that nose. Look at this. That's hilarious. That's quite good. That's good. The register. Mouth. Look at that. Expression. Clothing. Type. So say that default color. Oh no, we're not bother. That's probably the best. Voice. I didn't hear any voices. That's pretty good, isn't it? Look at him. Looks awesome. But what's his voice? Action samples. Deployment says, that's a wise old man eyes right there. Well, I guess similar to mine. I was more looking at the color more than anything else. Kind of dark green rather than, you know, bright blue that the original default color was. And deployment says you need to preview the voice with the triangle. Okay. No, it doesn't seem to work. Don't really see much difference in any of that. Default armor, leather chainmail, no armor. Diplomat says if you press it a few times on one, it will give you more. Yeah, I've tried. It worked eventually. It was just it had to be ticked off, and then once it was ticked off, you will get you know, some voices appearing really after I touched after I pressed the triangle. He looks like something out of medieval times. Well, absolutely not, but they want him to be walking around his underpants. It's a bit like some gladiator. Chainmail and then leather. I think I quite like that. Beautifully designed. So yeah, I think I'll confirm that. Alright, so we've got our character. He's got everything sorted, from his nose to his lips to his eyes, his hair. Deploy said try spamming it on the first option. No, it's alright. I'm quite happy. I've tried the options. I've chosen the voice, which I think is going to be quite alright. And what's this? Facial hairs? No, we don't want any of that. And makeup, and you know. No, nothing like that. Quite happy with the way the character is. And we want him to be like this, wearing leather, looking awesome. Okay, so let's enter your name. So that will be Daniel. Is this name okay? Daniel. It is. Daniel's fine. Palico, look at that. Wonderful Palico, wonderful. So what is Palico? Palicos are felines that have created a pact with hunters to support them in battle. During quests they'll assist you in many ways, like attacking monsters or gathering materials. Each hunter has their own individual Palico. I love this Palico. That Palico's wonderful. Oh, this one's even cuter. Look at them. This one looks really awkward. Who wants to be him? Look at him. Looks like a real fighter. Oh, he's cute, isn't he? I have two of them. Okay. I like this one as well. Deployment says, I love how they know what you're going to ask if you haven't played this game, like in your case, and it gives you information. Absolutely. It's just the best information possible. But let me think. I like him. Like him. Like him, he's lovely, look at him, lovely Palico. But this one is mean. I don't want to be him. I like this one, Oh, this is devil. This one as well. So I think it probably is going to be one of those. He's very nice as well. God, it's hard to choose between these three. No, I think he's very good. I love him. Looks really meek and polite. Listen, I can't make up my mind. I used to have 6 cats at one stage. I had 2 cats and then they had kittens and there was only 6. Yeah. One of them was just like this. My favorite kitten was Minnie. She looked just like this Palico in here. I'll take Minnie then. Or maybe not. I can't make up my mind. I like them all. The places these are just presets. if you don't want to customize your own. Of course, I mean I can, but it'll take a bit of time, and you know I have a difficulty in choosing my favorite cat in here, so I think probably the best to go with one of those presets, you know. Yeah, I like him. Take him. Fur pattern. Which pattern is that? Keeping my eyes. Awkward. That's quite good, I think. Ears. No, that's alright. Tail. Take that one. Clothing. Voice. Oh, look at him. He's terrific. The last element, best action samples. You know what, Deploy? This is a wonderful, wonderful game. You know, beautiful customization, and you kind of get to know a character as you're building him, and that is really awesome. Look at this. It's just so good. The design and everything. You definitely want to get to know him when you see him like this. The way he's designed, with binoculars and, you know. Start the game, it gets way better if you're enjoying this. I'm loving it. Not just enjoying, I'm loving it. It's wonderful. I like those games that combine, you know, cartoon characters and they sort of blend in perfectly with the story. I love that sort of thing. I love that in Dragon Age. I love that in Oblivion. You know, all these games. And obviously, Monster Hunter World had integrated the idea as well. I didn't really expect it, but it's just brilliant. Default armor. Yeah, we want to have that obviously, and finish. So we're happy with Palika's name will be Minnie. Oh, this is so cool. He really is wonderful. So glad I received the news today.
So, how about a toast?
To the A-list! And the commission!
Cheers!
So, tell me, what's your theory? The Elder Dragons must migrate to the New World for some reason. After running the research commission for 40-odd years, the guild's itching for an answer. They say the Fifth Fleet's got the best shot at cracking this case, and I agree.
Keep it down. Hey, speaking of, A-listers usually operate in teams of 2. Have you sat down with your partner yet?
Listen to that. Getting rough out there. The waves are picking up. That's gotta mean landfall. You're on the A-list, right? Huh. Meowdy-do. I'm not psychic, but I do have pretty good ears. Ah, put her there. I happen to be an A-lister myself. Whoa!
Oh no. Okay, so I'm playing him. Excellent. Just need to increase the volume control a bit. Well, that's cool. So we'll give it this. Where's the cat? Saw the cat early on. So where's the cat? Hang on, just wanna put some of those emotes there. There. There's a cool cat. Deployman says, one complaint I have with games like this is there is no voice acting with the main character. Well, that's a kind of a standard thing which they used in several games, and The Division was the same thing. A lot of people complained about this, and I think the idea behind it is that it would make the game a bit more personalized, but it's debatable, I guess. So let's see what happens here.
Anybody there?
So in order to dash we need to press L3 and R1. Okay. That's a bit climb wall.
Hello? Oh, hey, it's you! Look what happened to the ship! We have to do something!
So what do we do here?
It's not safe here! This way!
So where's my mini?
We need to get out of here! I've got an idea! This way!
Whoa!
Watch yourself! Hurry!
Okay, there's monsters as well.
We're on! I knew it! Time to hitch a ride and get off this thing! Come on, let's go! Get a good running start, then jump!
It's a dreadful monster in there, wasn't it?
The new world. Huh? No. What's this? Somebody must have set up this camp.
We need to head for the Research Commission HQ. But I want to see something else. Hang on. Where are the options? Where are the options? Because can you hear the sound pretty good? Because I think my sound's not loud enough for some reason. Is it loud
found
enough
this
from
in the
your
tent.
end? It's a
It
bit,
has a
bit
map in
quiet,
it.
I think. Not
Well,
loud
part
enough.
of one at least. Looks like we're right around here. The Research Commission's base of operations is here. This is where our ship was supposed to dock. For now, I think it would be best if we make our way to base. The map should help us find our way.
Ancient forest.
Look, the Research Commission's headquarters. Come on, let's get going. According to the map, to get to HQ, we need to... These Aptonoths seem every bit as docile as the ones back home. It looks like we need to go around.
Where did she go? Oh, there, okay.
Something's up. The scout flies are gathering.
take a screenshot of the wilderness in here.
What a weird plant. There's one over here, too. Come on, I think I found the way back to base.
Yeah, I don't see her. Where is she now?
I had the scout flies memorize my scent earlier. If you lose sight of me, just follow the scout flies, and they'll lead you right to me.
Don't really understand it.
Here! Here!
I don't see the scent.
Here!
Okay, that's the scent, okay.
Here! 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 We can push our way through these vines.
Oh, look at him.
Okay, easy there. Don't pick a fight if you don't have a weapon. We need to hide. Come on, this way. Hurry! Hurry up and hide. Stay low in the brush to remain hidden. Quietly. Okay, the coast is clear. Let's get going while we still can. Nothing can stop us. Wait, there's something here. What is this track? There's more over there. Let's check it out.
Don't mind me.
This way, hurry.
Okay, let's go.
What are you waiting for? Get over here!
Come on!
Jump! Hey,
You all right?
let's go.
Okay.
That is saved, so we completed the first section by the looks of it. That's pretty good. Loving the game so far. Reminded of Resident Evil and all the other Capcom games, you know, Dante and Devil May Cry. I really like it when you get everything like through autosave. The game I'm doing at the moment, Two Worlds 2, has to be manually saved lots of the times if you want to prevent replay. It does have autosave checkpoints, but they're sort of, there's a big distance between them, so it's always better if you just do manual saves as well.
Wow.
Amazing, ain't it? Just look at this gate. It's like nature meant for us to build a stair right here.
Stara. I like it.
The rest of the Fifth are already here. You're the last to arrive.
Everyone else is there.
Okay, set him down here. Take it
I'll need
nice
to
and...
tape up your shoulder. Hold still for a bit.
Hey, you guys made it!
Be right back. You're alive.
Had it rough, huh?
Hey,
When we couldn't find you two, we were starting to sweat bullets.
you scared us. We were talking about going out to look for you.
All's well that ends well.
Hey, we need a hand! Sorry.
Come on.
Catch you later. This here's our trade yard. I guess the name says it all.
Look at all the people. The stuff.
Incredible, right? We've got it all here. We've got hunters to do all the exploring, scholars to do the research, technicians to keep them going. This place is the beating heart of the Commission. Wait here a sec. Commander, I found him.
Welcome to Astera.
Why isn't there any voice now? When you've been in command as long as I have, you start to learn who's capable and who isn't. Now, as much as I'd like to get you up to speed, I'm being pulled about in 8 directions at once. Deployment says there isn't any. So there aren't any voiceovers there, but we're actually reading the dialogue, is that right? Similar to the old Capcom games. That's bizarre, isn't it? Because one minute you get the character talking, next minute you get all this. As much as I'd like to get you up to speed, I'm being pulled about 8 directions at once. We'll cover the important matters at Council, which I'll be convening once things settle down here. I expect you to be there, of course.
Your reputations precede you.
The guild spoke highly of you as individuals. Think what you can do as a team. And before I forget, your furry friend was looking for you. Poor thing washed up not too long ago. So my Minnie is alive. That's wonderful. Go ahead and have a look on Astera, Hornul-san, when it's time to for council.
Well, off you go.
Off you go. They should have done this. That would be my complaint as well. They should have done this in-game dialogue, because although you have your dialogue written up, they should have really done also the voiceover as well. Diplomat says you have to read Moya's dialogue only in cutscene. Yeah. I'm surprised, really. That will need to be reworked. If they were to do any updates and, you know, DLCs, I would certainly suggest for that to be done. Just because of the way things are today in games. You have similar sort of thing in Elder Scrolls Online as well. Characters talk and then you have to read out what's said.
Okay, I'll give you the grand tour. Let's start by looking for your palico. This is our stockpile. They carry most of the basic necessities.
You should drop by later to see what they have.
I think the picture's too bright. I need to darken it up a bit, don't you think?
Next is the smithy. It's this way.
We just heard, we got a message from Capcom saying that we can play it until the 20th. 10
Over here.
days. And Deployment says, I don't think they will. The game's been out for a while now and they haven't said anything about changing that. Probably not.
You were the Commission's 5th Fleet, right? The old man in charge, my grandfather, was with the 1st. That was a long time ago. Me? I'm not with any fleet. Born and bred right here. Never even been to the old world.
To change the options for graphics, it's too bright. Should be darker than that.
Here's our smithy. This is where you can craft weapons and armor. You'll be here a lot.
Wow! Look at this place. Want to check it out? Ooh, it's toasty in here.
Toasty.
Next up is the canteen. Let's check it out.
Hello, my friends. Tech Chief. Ha ha ha. Alright, newcomers. I can actually read a bit differently. Ha 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 ha. Alright, newcomers. Which of you knows how to have a little fun? So that's all he has to say. Okay, that's fine. Second Fleet Master.
There you are, Fiver.
So the illustrious 5th has arrived. Welcome, welcome. I hear it was quite a rough, where's your gear? You need equipment, a weapon at least. Then we'll talk. I do need a weapon. Deployment, do you know how I access options in here? What do I need to press? I tried really with my... Oh no, that's it, okay. That's for the map. To access the map, select, just zoom in a bit. That's very good. How to access options? Because obviously if I want to leave the game, I will need to do that. No. No. No, I've got them. Didn't work earlier when I tried it. quest information. Open the wildlife map and check your quest information. Field team leader, okay. Crafting list item pouch. Open your pouch to check the items you're carrying. Options. Controls, camera, display. I tried it earlier, but it didn't actually provide me with a pop-up. Maybe I had to get to a certain stage in the game in order to be able to get it. So we have voice chat, audio, sound, everything. Is this mid-range? Mid-range we want. Display, screen vibration. Camera controls, game settings. Okay, so that's fine. Save, quit game. Okay, system. Pouch. Open your pouch. Check the items. I'm not carrying any items, so therefore I can't open the pouch, right? Stars. Okay, so they can't use any of that. Quest information. Okay. This is pretty cool. Shout outs. Don't see it anywhere. Okay. Stickers. Chat. Yeah, I get it. So these are all different options where you want to be communicating to your team members non-verbally. And you can communicate verbally as well, so that's quite good fun. Options. Okay, we got it all after the list. Entanglement options, just very quickly click on that. Okay. So we need to follow the team leader.
Want to get going?
Yeah, it was already better when I adjusted
So there.
adjusted the brightness.
Here.
I'm sorry, Meowster, but unfortunately you don't have access to these private quarters. Housekeeper. So if I wanted to send him a message, I can... Gestures.
Here.
No, we don't want that. So greeting. Okay.
Over here. So this here's our canteen.
Hey, over there.
There's our friend Meowster.
Hey, you. I knew you'd pull through.
Council meeting.
Right. We're calling for a council. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like
Now
Final
that you are all
Fantasy.
here, let us begin council.
Now that you're all here, let us begin council.
After tracking a migrating elder dragon across the sea,
After tracking migrating elder dragon across the sea,
the Fifth Fleet have finally arrived in Astera. Give them a warm welcome. They're a fine group, worthy comrades who will help see the Research Commission's long efforts finally rewarded. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, sir. We're ready to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty.
This here is the Commission's core team. You should all get to know each other.
Looking forward to it.
Now, down to business.
down to business.
The latest monster to make the Elder Crossing is known as Zora Magdaros. A huge monster with a mountain of fire upon its back. The Research Commission's job is to discover exactly why the Elder Dragons are migrating to the New World.
Elder dragons have been with us since the dawn of time.
Look at him. He's very wise. Elder dragons have been with us since the dawn of time. I quite like the other one. The other one's like a pirate. It's just got one eye. Look at him. So beautifully designed.
Altering the ecosystem, reshaping the land, leaving disaster in their wake. Once every decade or so, they flock to this continent. But for what reason?
With the Fifth's help, we will find the missing link.
Here, here.
Now we're talking!
Hunters, for the time being, I need you to focus on investigating our Jagras problem. and securing Astera. Start by investigating the Jagras' habitat. Find out what makes them tick, and we'll go from there.
Right. We're on it, sir.
Everyone else, you know the drill. Make sure these hunters have everything they need.
Now we're talking.
Now we are talking. Meow. He said meow. Just like that. Meow.
You two, make it a priority to learn how we do things around here. You'll find good teachers, so don't be afraid to ask.
You heard him. Stick with me and you'll have no problems.
The Fifth's banner promises a change in the wind. It's your job to fulfill that promise.
The big spade he's got on his back. The meowie of my mini.
All right, dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
Not even here for a whole day and already got your first mission. You really are ready to get your hands dirty. Well, let's go look into this Jagras problem, but you'll need a weapon first. I know why they haven't done it, because this is very similar to all the other games which are targeting the Asian markets. They're very frequently like this. You have some dialogue and then you've got you know, the subtitles and you know, the dialogue written up. It's quite common with lots of these games. I've seen a number of them. I guess it's a part of the style which has probably grown from the original PC and, you know, to PlayStation 2 and 3 and all the other consoles.
Over here.
There's a box full of equipment you can use in your quarters. Come on, I'll show you the way.
Head inside your room so you can grab yourself a weapon.
Crouching and camouflage. Press the dodge button.
We've placed some basic gear for you in that equipment box. Make sure to choose a weapon that suits you.
Look at him. He's the housekeeper. Hello, mate. How are you doing in there? Another furry companion. Item box. Different weapons offer different combat experiences. Great swords hit with devastating force, while the sword and shield allow for quick, mobile flurries. The heavy bow gun, while unwieldy, flee powerful blasts, and so on. Choose any one weapon and take to the field. You can visit the training area after equipping a weapon by speaking to the housekeeper in your room. There, you can practice with your chosen weapon as much as you like. Armor sets are comprised of 5 pieces. Each piece offers some amount of defense plus equipment skills to aid you in your hunts. You can mix and match pieces, however, if you like to suit your playstyle. Use left and right to view your gear, stats and skills. You can save equipment loadouts to quickly switch to your favorite gear combinations. Okay. Oh dear, I'm getting tired already. It's already late over here, it's coming to midnight. My Betty base time. Well, that is tricky. That's tricky because you can't see anything very much in there. And I don't know what's going on. So, leather trousers, leather belt, leather gloves, leather headgear. Hunter's knife. Equipment box. Don't exchange. It's equipped. E means equipped. Iron katana. Iron blade. Perhaps one of those will need to be taken.
A close-range weapon that facilitates fluid combos and evasion. Proto commission axe, proto iron axe. Got a huge sword, my goodness.
Wanna get going?
That's massive. Talk to the handler in the canteen.
Once you're ready, head to the canteen. I'll be there waiting with a quest.
You can get more familiar with your weapons at the training area. Just talk to the housekeeper to get started.
Rest for a while in there.
Wanna get going?
Next you need to sign up for a quest. Let's head over to the canteen. But I don't want to head to the canteen. I want to speak to the housekeeper first. Minnie? Meowdy Meowster. Did you know you can forge equipment I can use over at the smithy? I want to change his equipment. Should say her equipment. My character is Minnie. I know this looks like some old closet that we turn into a makeshift room for you new hunters, but that is not the case, I promise. Just fully furnished with everything Meowster needs. You have your very own equipment box where you can manage and change your gear. Just hope you don't mind changing in front of others because you have roommates. Didn't I tell you about that? No? Alright. Meowing on. Your room also comes with an area to manage your Palico's gear. Right next to your bed even. Convenient, right? Oh, one more thing. If you need access to the training area, just come talk to me. I'm here to lend a paw 24/7. I'm to Pearlies. Now, what does Meowster need? To go to the training area, yes. we need to train a bit. We need to find out what to do and how to use the weapons and all else. I think that's probably going to be the last thing for today. I'm very tired. It's already midnight and we need to have another stream tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So welcome to the training area. Strike the various objects placed around the area to get a feel for your weapon moveset. If you'd like to try a different weapon, just head to the item box to switch equipment. All ammunition and coating types are available to try out. Using them or any other consumable items here will not deplete any stock you own.
Okay, let's run through the hunting basics. First, ready your weapon. The long sword is a close-range weapon designed for cutting attacks. Gather your spirit to increase its power.
So overhead slash. These controls are not easy to master, you know. Screw the blade. Oh, this is very, very tricky. It's loads of different controls and commands. That'll take me a long while to really learn. So how do I put it back in? Oh, he's doing a new one. I see, so that's basically it. Okay. Heading back to your room, Yoster? The answer to that is yes, and I'm heading back to bed. So we'll save it there. And that will be all for tonight. This was a wonderful, wonderful introduction to Monster Hunter World. I absolutely loved it. I loved every bit of it. So just come a bit closer and then can have Meowster and everyone else in the shot. Take a screenshot. Oh yeah, we got it. No, that wasn't it. Save it here. Progress has been saved. We'll go back to the options and quit game. Yep. Yep. And we are being brought back to this. Thank you for playing the trial version. This is just the beginning of your adventure in the new world. Discover new and varied environments, hunt ferocious monsters, and team up with other hunters around the world. Going to go back to the menu screen. There we are. My dear friends, this was a wonderful experience of Monster Hunter World. I loved it, I enjoyed every bit of it, and hope you did as well. We come to the end of our broadcast, which actually was the first broadcast of this game here on my channel. It was a bit of an introduction to the game, to its history, and we've gone through a kind of prologue. We introduced to the characters, we picked up our companion, we've gone and done a bit of that tutorial. We'll do this again tomorrow, and we are ready to pursue our first quest. So on that note, I thank you all for coming, thank you for watching, thank you for being our supporters, friends and community members, and I wish you all a very, very good night.